Hello. I just wanted to take a few moments to kind of give you some insight about how important online learning is to physical education. I know this may seem like a stretch to you, but if you really think about it, it makes total sense. So, in the past, I would teach the cognitive part of phys ed by handing the students a piece of paper. They would sit in the gym floor, I would lecture, and they're really missing out on an opportunity to be active because I'm lecturing on whatever the topic might be, whether it be, the health related components of fitness or at the elementary level, the difference in hopping and jumping. So I'm doing some sort of lecture. It could be a short lecture, maybe 3 minutes, but whatever the case, there's still an amount of time where students are sitting and listening. And our goal in phys ed is to get students into a moderate to vigorous physical activity component that would get their heart rate up and they would begin to be active immediately upon entering the classroom. They sit enough. So it's our job to get them active. So sitting and lecturing is really not an appropriate way to teach the cognitive part of our course. So this is where online learning can be a huge part of how you teach. Here, what you're looking at is the online learning course that I've created for Homewood High School. This is an online learning tool called Schoology. You can see that it really, honestly, it pretty much looks like Facebook. If you go to the updates section here, and you're looking at the teacher um, field, so you're looking at how things look as a teacher, but it's very similar to what the students would see. But you can see through the middle here, it's much like Facebook. So you can see they like posts, and this is an updates area where I'll give them something to think about for the week, maybe give them a heads up for upcoming assignments, but this is where those updates are. If you click over here on materials, this is where the actual content is loaded. And I do a lot of things to kind of grab their attention. Instead of just handing them a syllabus, there's an online syllabus. So there's videos in here that explain what the course is all about. They get to meet me rather than just, handing them a piece of paper. I give them a heads up about their final exam, which is a 5K they have to run. Um, so there's things that are in here to kind of be attention grabbing, to be clickable. Here's for instance, let's see if this will load up. It may be kind of slow to load, but this is something that I did just in the beginning of the semester to kind of get them in tune with what the course is going to be about and how to be successful in the course. Let's see if this will play. So yeah, that's me, that's my dog, and that's my kitchen in the background. But I will literally do anything to make them want to be a part of the course. Once the students begin to turn in materials, then they begin to get creative. So I'll show you one of the assignments turned in just this past week. Um, and they've all been pretty good, but let's just click on Lainey Phelps. And I go to Lainey. She had trouble submitting, so she couldn't, it wasn't that she didn't know the content, she just had a tough time understanding how to submit the work. And those can be struggles that online learners have that make them shut down. And you're going to experience some of that probably with Moodle. And I'm going to challenge you to get to that uncomfortable place. I hope that you get there. I'm not going to give you all of the information. I'm not going to give you all the steps to complete the assignments so that you're going to have to kind of figure things out as you go. I want you to kind of feel what it would be like to actually be an online, to be that student in your class. So you're going to kind of feel their pain a little bit. But for instance, this is Lainey Phelps. She's one of our freshmen. In fact, she is the Gatorade athlete for the state of Alabama of the year. Incredible athlete, one of our cross country runners. And so let's see what she turned in. I'm going to stop right there, and you've probably noticed already some typos in here. That happens, and while it's important to teach, spell correctly, use spell check, and all those kind of things, it it doesn't take away from her understanding of the content. And while I might remind her of use spell check or make sure that you spell words correctly, I'm not going to lessen her grade because she doesn't spell correctly. I'm interested in her understanding the content. And from a philosophical standpoint, the same thing goes in our school district for Homewood about turning work in on time. So stay with me here. You've probably been graded according to whether or not you turned work in on time. That is a behavior, not necessarily an understanding of content. So you've got to decide, do you want to grade content understanding or do you want to grade behavior? And let me put that in a different way. A student comes into your phys ed classroom, you are a middle school physical educator, and they don't have their clothes to dress out. So you go to your grade book and you give them a 0 for the day because they didn't dress out. The student goes to the bleachers and sits down and doesn't participate because they're not dressed out. So think through that for just a moment and reflect back on the beginning of this lecture and what I said about grading, and we'll talk about this more in depth. But your goal as a physical educator is to hopefully get students to have a greater appreciation for fitness and wellness. If you grade for behavior, the student doesn't have their clothes, they sit in the bleachers, then you're not accomplishing the A#1 mission for our course. So think through that as you begin to think about how you're going to grade. And like I said, we'll get into that a little bit deeper when we talk about grading. But those are just things to consider as we go through. But in a nutshell, the importance of online learning and the importance of understanding what online learning can mean and how it can impact your everyday life as a physical educator. The students in this course, there are close to 100 students that I grade. All of these students in this course, there are 96 students, and all of the students in this course every day come in their space, whether it be the dance room or the gym, and they immediately get their heart rate up. They begin in a moderate to vigorous physical activity session instead of sitting down and listening to a lecture. So it's a super way to kind of mold the way physical education is taught into something that is forward thinking. We are in Homewood in our school district, the physical educators are the only content area of instruction that uses online learning to this capacity. Because of that, we are the front runners. We've been used in professional development settings. We've been asked to speak to different groups, whether it be, elementary, middle, or high school classroom instructors. We've been asked to teach the teachers. So we are leading the pack, and it goes back to that credibility that we talked about the first day of our class. You've got to gain credibility with all of the stakeholders, including coworkers in your department and coworkers outside of your department. And this is a great way to do that. Think about parents' access to your course. Parents aren't going to come into the gym, most likely, and watch you teach, but you can guarantee that students share this online course with their parents. In fact, some of the videos that are turned in, parents are actually part of the video. So it's a really good way to kind of reach outside of your classroom and get parents, students, other teachers, all stakeholders involved in understanding the importance of physical education. So, as you are going through our Moodle course this semester, you are going to probably get a little bit uncomfortable as a student in an online learning capacity. I hope you do get uncomfortable. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I hope you do get uncomfortable because I want you to feel what the students feel when they are trying to manipulate an online course. I want you to experience that feeling as a student. So get ready to get comfortable with being uncomfortable this semester and learning how online learning can be a huge part of how you teach. All right, make sure you check out the calendar, see what's due, and I will update the calendar and assignments for the next few weeks, but you've got plenty to work on for this upcoming week. All right, thanks y'all.